As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
One of the worst performances of my career, and they never doubted it for a second.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Son of a bitch. He stole my life.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Welcome back to the Shot by Shot podcast, where today we're talking Emerald Fennell's third feature film, Wuthering Heights. Is it really as bad as people expected it to be, and is it really the provocative piece that we expected from Fennell, coming off of Saltburn 2 or 3 years ago now? This is actually our second episode that we've dedicated to Emerald Fennell movie, which I think she joins an exclusive club now with Denis Villeneuve. We're the only people that we've actually dedicated 2 episodes to.
Oh dear.
Which is more of just a coincidence of her releasing 2 big movies since we started, but more than her quality as a filmmaker. We were pretty critical of Saltburn when it came out, and that was a 2023 movie, wasn't it? It's like 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was. Wow.
But our review in that episode, we're pretty critical of it for the most part, but I think we mostly leaned positive at the time. For our flawed character piece that didn't have a lot to say, was full of provocative moments, so we say, from the characters to kind of get people talking, which it worked. When it went to streaming, that movie blew up, and I think it was mostly liked, at least from the general audience's perspective. And it looked pretty, helmed by Linus Sagreen behind the camera, which he returns again for Wuthering Heights. I don't think our review will sound much different to a lot of the moments in Saltburn. A lot of the problems are still there, even more amplified this time, except we definitely lean more on the negative side, I'd say, this time around. But I'm going to go over to Oscar first. What did you think about Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights?
Yeah, it's interesting. Emerald Fennell is an interesting filmmaker, to say the least. Saltburn has, I don't know, maybe I partially liked it when it came out, you know.
You're a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yeah, no, shut up. No, that is a bad film. I have since revisited it. I do not like it at all. And that is the same for Promising Young Women. That won Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars, by the way.
In 2020, we may add.
In 2020.
Strong year, but
it still won Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars. Yeah, I think one of my least favourite working filmmakers now, arguably the worst filmmaker of the 2020s. There's few worse than her. This is her third feature. I don't know what was she doing before this. I don't know. I put in some post today about some theatre plays she had wrote. Bad Cinderella. Dear, I said the clip that I sent into the chat today, and it's been floating around on Twitter. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Wasn't she an actor? Is that correct?
She was in Barbie. Was she in Barbie?
Yeah, she was in Barbie. Or cameo.
Yeah. Yeah, she is a filmmaker who thinks she's a lot of things, but comes up really, really short. She thinks she's being intellectually provocative, but is never really approaching any of those sort of highs. But she never really has that insight that the kind of great provocative filmmakers do. I saw a good kind of analogy. She kind of beats her provocations like a really blunt mallet, and it does nothing. And she has no interest in getting underneath. And I think this is even the first time for her that I've been, you know, Promising Young Women and Saltburn are laughably terrible, so outlandishly, in a sense. And but Wuthering Heights is just so boring. And it almost made me realize that this is almost the same as her other films, more so in a sense that she's, you know, you obviously her provocations are really, really misguided, but then they're so fake and this kind of awakened something that was like her past ones they've never even been that explosive in a sense, or kind of going the extra mile. They're always really safe, and this one especially so. I did read the book in preparation a couple weeks ago now. Incredible book, by the way. And for those who have not read the book, this film is only an adaptation of half the book. We will be spoiling both, so yeah, go and read the book. It's really great. And I'm not opposed to filmmakers changing things in adaptations. You know, I mean, it can be so boring just to retread the same themes and ideas and not try something new in that sense. But you know, this has partial twists to it, kind of coated in kind of modernity in a sense, in some ways, in the gowns and the set design. But I just find it to be really dull, and I think that's the biggest criticism I'll give it. Is that I was expecting this to be terrible, but terrible in a way that was like outlandishly terrible. Like, this is terrible, but it's boring terrible. If that makes any sense. She does make provocative film for teenage girls, and I think this kind of reinforces that. But yeah, maybe the first of her films that is kind of aware that it's really terrible. I don't know, it kind of felt like it was being intentionally bad. Like, it was just, she was like mocking me from behind the camera, but not in a way that she uses that for any good, because you can actually use that for good in loads of scenarios. It's not dumb or stupid in a good way. It's just really bad. But yeah, I did not like this at all.
So I went to see it, and I think Emerald Fennel knows as much about Wuthering Heights as I do. Even after making that film, I thought Wuthering Heights was a Kate Bush song. I genuinely didn't know it was a book. That's how much I knew about Wuthering Heights.
I think she might be the only person that's adapted the second half of the
never
book. Is that
heard?
true?
I've
That's
never heard of
actually
Wuthering
crazy.
Heights.
That's crazy.
Because I think a lot of people got introduced to it in school, but we never even like touched upon it. I know it's
We
like
didn't
classic
either.
literature. I don't know how.
I knew what it was, but why we didn't? Did you?
I
Ryan?
just thought
Sorry.
Wuthering Heights was a.
Not in,
was a
I know
song.
what it was, but I didn't do it in school.
Yeah, I don't know how that's crept past me, but I'm not very in tune with books at all. So I went to see it, and I basically judged it solely as a film. A lot of the popular criticisms online are related to it being an adaptation, and I do think there's a new layer of cynicism and like sinisterness to her career as a filmmaker, that she has all this power. She's from a really like affluent background, and if this is true, I'm not sure if it is, but she basically heard of the book, read a little bit of it, saw Jacob Elordi's sideburns, and was like, "Yeah, I want him to be Heathcliff," and then basically just jumbled this film together and called it Wuthering Heights. And it's been getting absolutely slated from people who have read it. But from my perspective, just as a film, I agree with Oscar. It is so boring and dull. Like, I think it got to hour 45 mark, and it is quite a long film. I was really struggling in the cinema, and when I had people like around me crying and stuff, I was like, oh, "Just get me out of here," because most of the audience was really reacting to it. The costumes are so weird and not in a good way. They look really tacky and cheap, and this is like supposed to be a period piece. And I know it might be a style, but I don't really think Fennel really has any style, to be honest. So yeah, that looks really bad. The fog that they use looks kind of artificial. I don't think the film particularly looked amazing. The set design with like the red floors, Wuthering Heights, I don't know, it all looked very like stage play, but not in like a blendy, well shot way. And then obviously I have the moors, but the moors were not used to like the full effect. You had that same location on the cliff like over and over again. I think from like every perspective, it's such an uninteresting film, and the performances were like okay, but not great. They're really hamming it up in some scenes, and then people call her like a, you know, provocative filmmaker, but I think aside from like the very first scene, there's nothing particularly provocative about this film. It's not really
What's
doing
even
anything.
provocative about the first scene is it's been cut to bits.
In comparison to everything else, though, she like fingers a fish. That's nothing. She like cracks an egg and puts her fingers through it. That's nothing. A guy coming in his pants when he's being hung is like the most provocative thing in the film. But even then, that's what I'm saying.
True.
Saltburn. I could kind of see why people call it provocative, even though it's like a rip off of Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the fact that she's like not very talented. And she's done an adaptation of this book that so many other filmmakers could have got the foot in the door with who've actually read it, and not adapt half the story either, because it seems like no Wuthering Heights adaptation, as we were saying earlier, has actually adapted the book properly. But I'm not an expert on the book, so I don't know.
I think there has been, but they're lesser known from what I've seen. But yeah, this, for people who aren't necessarily aware, this is an adaptation. This is her retelling of what she thought the book was when she read it when she was a teenager. And to be honest, I think there is an intentional tackiness to everything. It feels like it was read that it was her interpretation as a teenager. But I don't think the tackiness and the kind of outlandish, I guess, style and clothes is used to any positive effect at all. Like the visual language is for babies, and that's a pretty common thing for her. I think this more so than her other films. There's a shot in... Okay, we're going into spoilers now. Mr. Earnshaw, who is Kathy's father, after he dies, there's a hysterical shot where he just cuts to him with like 2 mountains of bottles next to him. I laughed my ass off. One of the
I just
funniest...
slumped in my seat as soon as that happened. I was so done with the movie at that moment.
In the most derogatory way, I was laughing my ass off. I was like, it's so fitting of her and that film for that kind of shot. But I think it's almost as she was more aware of it in a sense, but she tries to use its kind of in your face, on the nose style as something kind of progressive, but I just could not get on board with it at all, and I was just laughing. That shot is just, I could not get it out of my head. Is in all the bad ways. It made me laugh a lot. But yeah, I'm disappointed in a sense because, you know, a somewhat fan fiction, aesthetically tiring fan fiction version of Wuthering Heights, you know, it could be interesting at some point, just not in the hands of Emerald Fennell. And aesthetically, I don't know that I got really tired of what it was trying to do, kind of Linus was trying to do. I don't know, it wasn't doing a lot for me. We kind of had that little bit of Gone with the Wind pastiche with like the red sunsets. Do you know what's really funny? Going like a few months ago, there were all like predictions from the trailer that this was going to be like, it was going to be more of a meta reading of a girl reading as a teenager, but it's going to be like actually in the film. So like, the plot twist would be like, it would like cut to a girl reading the book, and that's with all the stuff like the doll houses, and that's why it's all wrong. But no, it's just a straight adaptation in a sense, which is maybe even worse. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. After,
which was a fair fan theory, because there's like ridiculous moments in this where she's eating like a strawberry the size of her head and stuff like that. That was, I liked Linus Sandgren's work in this, but I feel like the production design was one of my major gripes with the movie, which has this really obnoxious blend of his like photography of these like natural Yorkshire landscapes, which I think are really shot really well in VistaVision for these like wide shots, and then you have like in comparison these like maximalist artificial look of the movie, which is basically her trying to recreate Technicolor movies. and it feels like an interpretation of Technicolor coming from those like comic book fans that you see on Twitter. They're like only talk about color grading and ask why we can't just do Technicolor again. And I love the looks of movies from people like Powell and Pressburger and Douglas Sirk, which she's obviously pulling from and in here at times. But like this feels like such a forced idea that just doesn't feel like it comes natural to her, because it results in some of the worst ideas in this movie, like Kathy's walls being made of Margot Robbie's skin, or a character dying of alcoholism surrounded by piles of bottles, like you were saying. It has like these like maximalist moments that just take you out of the movie with how ridiculous and out of place they feel. It just does not work for me.
It looks like a Pinterest mood board. So I decided just like
Yeah.
just seen like reds and blacks and browns, and just splattered it like. Yeah,
That is
God.
Saltburn as well, though. Tell me that's not Saltburn
True,
as well.
it is.
It
No,
is. It
Saltburn's better than that.
No,
I think
Saltburn is
looks
also a
okay.
Pinterest mood board. It is.
I think Saltburn looks okay though. I thought this looked really cheap, and maybe it is intentional, like I said. But, I don't know. I didn't like the look of it.
I think that there is an intentional, maybe an intentional tackiness. I do think that, but it's bad because I don't think it is utilized in any shape or form. And it got to a point where maybe I'm thinking it's intentional just because there's so much of it, and it's just being thrown in our faces. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm actually giving her a bit of credit for once. But yeah. It is, yeah. So this book is obviously it's a gothic classic. It is a classic, and the book kind of details a lot of kind of political situations at the time, class and race and things like that. And this book kind of completely strips that back. Heathcliff in the book is from what we can tell in Bronte's writing, is not white. He kind of comes from outside. I know it's pretty swift in the beginning. But yeah, he kind of gets dragged into this family. I think before this, I think he was in Liverpool, somewhere like that. And yeah, he gets treated really, really badly by kind of everyone around there. And he's like the only non-white character in the book, sorry. And Fennell does some really odd casting decisions in this, because we get Mr. Edgar Linton, who is like in the book, like he is like a strict blonde hair, blue eyes type character. He looks down on Heathcliff. And Nellie as well in the book, played by Hong Chow in the film, is someone who is very has a lot of prejudices against Heathcliff. And I think casting basically the only two people in the film who are not white as the two people in the book who are I think really defined by their kind of rich, I guess, social position and rich classes, is a subversion that feels really ill-mannered. And I think it goes far beyond than just whitewashing Heathcliff with Jacob Elordi in this. And also, she cuts down like so many of the characters in the film, which I know it's only half an adaptation, but I think what makes the book so compelling is this kind of large family tree and this vast array of characters and the ambiguities that it builds on this kind of class at the time and all the positions. But yeah, we've got two houses. We've got Wuthering Heights and Thrushcross Grange. In the film, she builds Thrushcross Grange as like the really rich place, and Wuthering Heights is the really poor place, which I did not get the vibe from in the book. She's kind of forcing this juxtaposition, which I don't think works. I kind of see them both as equal in wealth in a sense, and it's really Heathcliff is the only character, and Joseph as well actually, is the kind of poorer characters, and some of the housemates as well. And it is completely lost. But it's more than that. It's the stuff that I'm explaining about the casting. yeah, I think it's mentioned in the film that it's just like quickly mentioned that Catherine's brother is dead, which is Hindley Earnshaw. He's a fairly big character in the book. He is actually existent. He has a son with a woman called Frances, who they give birth to Harriton Earnshaw. And then another one of the biggest changes is the end of the film is Catherine dying in, I guess, childbirth, and the baby doesn't get born. The baby does get born in the book.
I thought there was malnutrition, or
Was it?
wasn't like
Well,
childbirth. I don't know. I think she's just kind of like.
The blood. I don't know. Was the baby already gone by then? I don't know.
I think it just died because she was like starving herself.
Mm.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure. The blood was a bit
was
dramatic.
it was a bit dramatic. That was quite funny. The leeches as well. But yeah. Anyway, in the book, she dies in just after childbirth. And then the second half of the book is her daughter, who is called Kathy. In case you didn't get confused, and then so in the film we get the relationship between Isabella and Heathcliff. They have a son who is called Linton. In case this didn't get any more confusing, that is his first name, Linton Heathcliff. And Kathy's called Kathy Linton because obviously they're Edgar and Catherine are married by them. Isabel goes off down to like London. So they break up pretty quickly, Isabella and Heathcliff. Isabella goes down to London, and that's where Linton is born initially. And then after a certain number of years, Isabella dies, and then Linton comes back up to them to live with Edgar initially, and then Heathcliff like demands his son be brought to Wuthering Heights, and he does. So Linton lives there, and then Edgar dies. This is set over a number of years, by the way. Kathy, the daughter, is like 20 something by the book ends. So this is like 20, like around 20 years after the end of the film is when the book ends. Then Kathy and Heathcliff's son Linton, then they're cousins and they get married. And then Linton dies, and then Harriton Hindley's son and Kathy kind of get married at the end, and Heathcliff dies as well, which is kind of the end. Heathcliff kind of he's been going crazy all these years. The book is a kind of, the second half is a wonderful and quite dark kind of ghost story. There's a bit in the film where you see, do you remember, there's like Kathy's and a few other names like scribed onto a piece of glass at Thrushcross Grange. You might not remember it, you probably don't.
Not really, no.
So the beginning of the book starts near the end. Basically, the one of the biggest things missing from the film, which I think make the book so powerful, nearly the entirety of the book is actually a retelling from Nellie's perspective. Like it's a man called Locke. He's the future owner of Thrushcross Grange, who's just moved in, the tenant, and Nellie is there, and she recounts the story, which is the story we see, to him, and even further beyond. And it moves in and out of like further perspectives. So like within that, there'll be more stories, and it becomes to a point where it begins with kind of the powerful, almost kind of unreliable narrator kind of thing, and this idea of perspective and forced perspective in the sense of judgment on a kind of like a societal level is really interesting from Nellie, who is quite a judgmental character in the book. And then as we go to the end, we kind of reach where we began, and the story kind of continues on a little bit. And yeah, Heathcliff dies. He had been going crazy for a while, kind of seeing ghosts of Kathy. But the opening of the book is we open like near the end and we jump back, but it's the Mr. Lockwood stays in Wuthering Heights, where Heathcliff is there, and Catherine's daughter Kathy is there, and I think Harriton's there, and Joseph. I think Linton's dead by this time, but he stays the night in a room in Wuthering Heights, and it's got that scribed out piece of glass with the writing on it, which is in the wrong place in the movie, but wrong house. But he like sees Kathy as a kind of ghost figure in his dreams on that opening night. And Catherine. And yeah, the whole book, the second half of the book, is kind of revolved around Heathcliff going crazy and beating kids, and kind of torturing them. But I think it's an interesting look on perspective of the book, because yes, those stuff does happen, but there's his kind of position initially as someone poorer, it feels like something out of place, and this kind of rich environment has made him such a way, and kind of missing her, I guess. But yeah, what Fennell lacks in between their relationship, in my opinion, is that in the book they feel like they have a sibling relationship, and that's because they never kiss, they never have sex in the book. But it feels like a more sibling, close-knitted relationship, and what is so powerful is it nearly every moment between them, it feels like it's bordering on this kind of eroticism, but it never actually gets there. And there's something really powerful about having that divide that I think Fennell crosses really stupidly, and that kind of tension in a way that it never happens, is really, really interesting. But yeah, that's my rundown of the book. I yapped on for ages then, but
I think those two characters, well, they don't feel like characters. Well, there's no dimension to them. All it is that they're obsessed with each other, and then how, well, it's mainly Heathcliff that escalates it. It is so weird that they casted him as Jacob Elordi, knowing that he wasn't white, and then people don't like the wife. I forgot her name, but obviously the woman he marries to like get
Isabella.
Isabella.
Yeah, she becomes really weird and submissive as well. That's such a Fennell sort of thing to do. After hearing about the book and what she's adapted, so little of it, it would have made more sense to me if she just tried to like some bastardized like Romeo and Juliet, because like
a Baz Luhrmann, updated.
Do a weird Romeo and Juliet.
I think it's interesting because Isabella is treated really badly by Heathcliff in the film, so I guess she's trying to like modernize that relationship a bit. I feel, who's the actress? I've forgotten her name. I do like her. And I feel sorry.
Oliver.
Alison Oliver. She was in Saltburn as well. I feel, please just get away from her. Get away from Emerald Man. I like her. Maybe a hot take. I think this is one of Margot Robbie's worst performances. I thought she was terrible.
It's not a hot take. I think it kind of has to be her worst.
It is bad. Yeah, it's bad. Because she's a good actress.
It's bad.
She's been in a lot of recently, but she's a good actress.
Yeah, I don't know. Shazad Latif, who's a great actor who plays Mr. Linton, he's almost unrecognizable to what he actually looks like. But if you see kind of a normal photo of him outside of that film, he, like, from the descriptions in the book, because it's never explicit, he looks like a perfect casting for Heathcliff. Genuinely. And it's so strange that, like, those two characters, specifically a change of the ones who are the ones delivering the kind of racial prejudices the other way round, toward Heathcliff. And yeah, it's a dynamic that I don't think is going to work on any level. And I don't necessarily want to put myself in the same level as kind of like really heavy book nerds. They're like, oh, you have to be faithful to the adaptation always. No, you don't. But this is one of those instances for me that changes have been made and they've not been in any, they've not been positive in any light at all. And yeah, the book is darker than what this is. It is genuinely provocative. It is genuinely challenging, especially when was it written? Actually, I don't know this.
1845, something like that.
1847, close.
47.
But it generally feels it generally feels like something that was completely challenging for the time and in class things, and it's not even that kind of straight on in a sense. There is a lot of ambiguities and kind of contusions to all the relationships, and we kind of end on, I've forgotten his name, the guy that I mentioned that kind of opens it up, but he's kind of looking out on, I think it's Heathcliff's and Edgar's grave, and it's like, how can like such death exist in such a nice landscape? And then the book ends. And yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I was fascinated by the book and I was really hooked on it. Definitely worth the read. And I'm glad I did, more so because I think from what I knew about the book, more thematics wise, it was even more thornier and more challenging than I was expecting. And I'm very glad of that. And yeah, when was Andre Arnold's the last adaptation of this? Because I've not seen it.
Probably, unless there's like at least the last like big budget adaptation, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really disappointed on. Obviously, she's removed like the whole race element from the Heathcliff character, but I was really disappointed even just from the exploration of like the classes in this, which she was already on like very thin ice in that regard, because after Saltburn, where I kind of gave her the benefit of the doubt with what she'd done with the classes in that movie, but that kind of just confirms that she is just really bad at handling it. Yeah, it is bad. Accents are really bad again. Like I was like with the Scouse accents and so far, I was like, maybe it was on purpose, but yeah, again here the accents are atrocious. Jacob Elordi's doing this Yorkshire accent, which seems to be like the only thing that really defines his character as being from outside this rich family. She doesn't do much interesting stuff with it. What did you think about the Yorkshire accent? Daniel?
yeah, Daniel, I want to get your take.
It was racist.
Your take.
It wasn't. I mean, Margot Robbie wasn't doing one. Like, wasn't trying. Heathcliff.
She was.
Yeah,
oh, not a Yorkshire accent, but
no,
yeah,
it's just posh.
She was doing a bad
Yeah,
posh
she was.
accent. Yeah.
Posh Yorkshire doesn't exist. It's just Yorkshire. Elordi was not. Elordi was not doing it. But I feel like he wasn't putting much effort into doing it, so I wasn't that angry about it. He was overpronouncing some words. It's a really lazy sounding language, and I've got to be conscious of it in certain situations. Like lazy accent. Like whenever I've gone somewhere like America, they legit didn't know what I was saying sometimes. Like I wasn't speaking English. But then again, this is 1800 Yorkshire, so maybe it's different. Maybe it's not as broad. Yeah, it wasn't
does it
great.
even make sense, does it? What age is he when they adopt him?
Yeah, because Martin Clunes doesn't have a Yorkshire accent. No one's doing a Yorkshire accent except for...
he wouldn't keep it like into his 17 or whatever age he's supposed to be.
It's the age casting is wild. It is. Yeah. It is the jump from them to kids, them to adults. Just I was just laughing my ass off. They're meant to be like teenagers. Like the second half of the book, sure, Heathcliff can look like that, fine, that age wise, but it is pretty funny.
I don't think Heathcliff is ever acting like a 17-year-old, so I don't think it is atrocious in terms of Elordi's performance. But Margot Robbie is like 35, pretending to be a 17-year-old with that maturity, and it really doesn't work.
Yeah, the maturity is there in that. Look, she's always a really childish character in the book. And is reflected in her daughter. But yeah, and also in the book as well. So Joseph's, who's played by the guy, I've forgotten his name. He's in Saltburn and he's in House of the Dragon as well.
Ewan Mitchell.
Yeah, his dialogue in the book is like is like written like a Yorkshire accent, so it's like almost indecipherable. So you're having to like speak it yourself to try and work out what he's saying.
There are a lot of weird T's, like
yeah,
yeah.
It is quite funny trying to decipher that when you're reading portions of it. Yeah, there's the quote unquote kind of like sex, more erotic scenes are really strange, because I've seen some arguments to say that the kind of fully clothed provocative nature of it feels like it's kind of like a view on the modern limitations of like teenage sex lives, because like, you know, like studies will say like young people aren't having sex anymore and whatever. But to be honest, to me it feels like it's been cut up. It feels like it was meant to be there, and like the studio have kind of gone, no, like they did with the opening scene in like test screens, which I'm gonna be honest, when you said that the guy came in his pants while he's being hanged, I don't think I even noticed that. I genuinely don't think.
I think the kids like laugh at it.
Yeah, they do. They say.
I thought they were just laughing at him being hung, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie.
And he is hung. He has like a Samson like 18-footer.
What? No, as in hung, as in.
Oh right. Well,
yeah,
he was hung as well. Yeah.
Yeah, around the neck. Yeah. But yeah, he does. But also, like, how high up is he hung from? He's like 50 feet up in the air.
Funny, like a crane.
It's so high up. It's ridiculous. And then, because I remember reading about the nun, I thought, oh, there's something going to happen with the nun. And then they just don't do anything with it. I think I don't know, she gets like naked or something. And she was in the test screenings and they like cut it out.
She fondles the guy.
That's it. That's it.
Was,
yeah, she does. Yeah, she messes with his dead body.
Major like Ken Russell from Witch Fights.
But the thing is that a part I've forgotten about in the book, Heathcliff literally digs up Catherine's grave. There was like bits of necrophilia in the book.
Well, she probably didn't want to repeat Soulburn.
True, but genuinely, like there's like hints, like it's actually surprising that Emerald Fennell has downgraded the quote unquote provocativeness of a source material, even though she's not anywhere near provocative in a good way. But the book is a lot more it's a lot more challenging than people actually think it is, and it's like it's got some really dark stuff in there. I don't know why I forgot about that, him digging up the grave, but yeah, he does. It's really good, but and also this first half, she drags out this first compared to the book. I know people talking about like boredom, but I think there's bits she kind of puts in and it feels elongated in not a good way.
By the first part, you mean when they're kids?
No. Just the film itself, as in the first half of the book, like all of this film, she drags it out. It does not really feels like the beginning portion feels rushed almost. The more kid stuff feels rushed, but the second half where they're all grown up, that is so dragged out. It really is. And I think the second half of the book is the more kind of interesting stuff, because it almost feels like the book is an antithesis to kind of the romance stuff of the time, where the main character dies halfway through the book and you're expecting this wild romance to go on to the end, and the second half is just like this deathly tonal fallout of everything before it, and it's fascinating. And yeah, I don't know where we were going with that. But yeah, the girls behind me in my screening were just crying their eyes out. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling anything.
The ending is like, I guess it worked because people were crying at it, but it is like the safest ending she's had.
Yeah,
it's the ending that provokes people usually with her movies, whereas this one kind of just seems to follow what happens in the book.
Promising Young Woman is like I'm sorry, but Emerald Fennell has like fascist tendencies. Like soul burning, she is no, but you can so aware of her class, from from a book. You can tell she's come from a privileged kind of background. Well, I know her accent as well. You can tell it in that sense, but the promising young woman almost turns into like pro cop stuff at the end. Saltburn is horrendous. The stuff that does it, like Barry Keoghan's character in that film, is really, really bad. And then, but to be fair, the ending of Saltburn is so safe because she just explains everything to you. It's terrible. But that's the thing. What I realized on this film is that she's never even been that kind of filmmaker that's like does like extensively goes out there like bad provocativeness. She's so short-sighted in her provocativeness. She doesn't go anywhere with it. And I for some reason I don't know. It just I came around to it. I don't know why I'd always seen her as this kind of like person who does shocking stuff for no reason. But she doesn't even is not even that shocking in a sense. And I think this kind of I don't know. I just kind of Saltburn especially like what is this stuff? What Jacob Elordi like eats some cum in a bath. Okay.
Yeah. I was kind of disappointed that it didn't go as far as Saltburn, just to like laugh at it, get some of the boredom out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I really expected it to go much further. We yet to see how people like that, because I guess it's still it'll be when it hits streaming and we can see if the intended audience for that kind of stuff eats it up. 'Cause that's where Saltburn really lived.
The people who weren't going to watch it are the intended
She's a fake
audience.
Freak.
Oh,
She's a fake freak.
I think a 2.5 in the cinema is the worst rating you can give to something. Because I felt nothing. Like, at least the film can annoy me, and this didn't really annoy me. I didn't get any enjoyment from it. I mean, if I'd read the book, probably been a better 8 watch. But I was like, this is just nothing, and it drags. It is a bad. And on the radio at work, the guy on Radio 2's been going like, "Oh, don't watch it alone. It's so freaky and like rude." And I'm like, "No, it isn't. It's like
no, it's not.
A 12-year-old.
It's some eggs in a bed. Eggs in a bed.
Eggs.
Apart from the first scene, like a 12-year-old could like watch it and be like, whatever.
Yeah. She's a fake freak, and the fish and egg stuff is like so on brand for her. She does a lot of this kind of suggestive imagery. It's like, ooh, and what does this mean? And it's the fish, the egg gag is really awful. And when she got like the shot and it's just slowly rolling the dough. Oh dearie me, it's so bad. It's really, really bad. But yeah, it's not even that bad. It cuts away from most of the stuff. Like we get like this very quick music video montage of like Heathcliff and Catherine kind of making out briefly. And Catherine has this kind of like push-up bras and like corsets on the entire time. So I don't know what the costuming is. Yeah, it's interesting to say the least. But nothing about this was hitting on any note.
Speaking of radio, what did you think about Charlie XCX's soundtrack to the movie?
I didn't think anything, to be honest. When that first song played, I think We're Gonna Die in This House, or whatever it is.
I love that song.
I like the song, but I was like, oh god, this in a Wuthering Heights film. I know what this is going to be like. It's going to be obnoxious. Yeah, it's a good song.
To be fair, the most of it wasn't even that. It's not even like that. Not what's the word I'm looking for. You could hardly tell it was there half the time. Like some bits more than others. Like I've listened to the album on its own. I think it's good. I like it.
The album's different to the score, isn't it?
Yeah. I've the Charlie XX album. I've listened to it, and like half the songs aren't even in there. I could tell. Like even House is like cut to bits at the beginning. And also the I don't like the hanging scene in the beginning is not in the book. There's some mentions of hangings in the book, but That's not, yeah. Like I said, I think the biggest difference in the book is this lack of perspective and through sight that really gives the book its judgment between its characters. Like it turns into this retrospective, like stories told through stories, and it's really interesting. But yeah, there's not really any of that in this.
The start feels so different to the rest of the movie, to be honest. Like you have like that hanging scene where she sets up like all this stuff about like violence and everybody almost like having like sex and everybody like reacting to the violence and the hanging, and then it doesn't really do anything with it for the rest of the movie. I liked the score in that scene. It's like when she has like the stop motion title card that she does in Saltburn as well.
Oh yeah.
That was cool. I think that's where the movie peaks, when you've got the score blasting and like the animation of the title card comes up.
Oh dear. Yeah, the title cards are. Yeah, that's generally all she's got. There's like artsy, they're gonna do some loads of hair and stuff. I saw the behind the scenes for that actually, unwillingly. But yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's parts to say, but it's just this time around. There's not really much to say, in retrospect, just because of how sucked out of life the whole thing is. And I guess it's interesting to look at it from maybe a more marketing perspective, and the culture around someone like Charlie XCX linked with this adaptation of Wuthering Heights through, I guess, more modern lens, and the changes over time. But outside of that, there's not really a lot to contest.
Got any last thoughts on Wuthering Heights?
I'm trying to think, but I think because I've not read the book, I'm pretty much said what I need to say.
I don't think I have any more.
All right, that was our thoughts on Wuthering Heights. I think it's all of our least favorite movie of the year. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, it is satisfying. I've watched a couple of bad films already, but yeah, it's satisfying adding a film to a list and then you don't have to move it anywhere because it's just sitting right at the bottom.
I don't think it is mine actually. I think it's the same rating, but I had is it The Rip? I always forget the name.
No, The Rip is better than this.
They both make me feel nothing. But the thing is, I forget like what The Rip is. Like I forget I've even seen it. I've seen 4 films from 2020.
You only
So
know
that's
you've
why-
seen it because you've logged it.
Yeah, so that's why it's below Wuthering Heights. But Wuthering Heights is bad. Well, it's not great.
The poster
Yeah.
game for this film is dire as well.
It is really bad.
It's
Yeah.
so bad.
It's really bad. Yeah, it looks fan-made posters.
They do.
Fitting the movie, actually.
True.
Yeah. Because this is a famously bad now book to movie adaptation, we are going to go into a draft of what we think the best book to or novel to movie adaptations are. We're not going to do stuff like comic books or mangas or stuff like that. Purely novels to movies. Right. So you'll be going first in the book to movie draft.
Don't put me in the middle again.
Nice.
Damn
Right,
it.
I will be going first. And we'll be doing a snake draft as well.
Okay.
You're not in the middle?
Daniel is in the middle. I am last.
Okay. So I have the first pick. For the first pick in the book to movie draft, I'm going to go with a movie that was also written by the same person who wrote the original book, and that is William Friedkin's The Exorcist.
Snipes on first pick.
Damn.
Yeah, I think that is one of the best examples just because it was literally written by the same person. And he's also the only person that has made a good sequel to that movie as well. So he's the guy that understands how to adapt his own books. As it
Currently
should be.
waiting for Heat 2 to come out. Because Man wrote the book. That would have been
True.
an interesting pick, actually.
Right. I'm gonna try and pick films that like really feel like they're from literature. Stephen King is the guy to go, and I'm stuck between the obvious one and a different one. But because it's my first pick, I need to go heavy. I'll go Shining. And famously it annoyed King, which I think is kind of funny because most people consider them to be better. So, yeah, I think it's a good example.
For my first, I've got 2 picks here, haven't I? Actually,
Yep.
I am going to go for David Cronenberg's Crash and Kubrick's
You don't want
Eyes
the
Wide
Oscar-winning 2005 Crash?
No, I don't. Crash and Eyes Wide Shut I'm going for.
Eyes Wide Shut. I've never actually heard about that as an adaptation.
I can. What's the name? Is it? I don't think it's called Eyes Wide Shut. Critically today. What's it called? It's based on the 1926 novella, Trauma Novelle, or Dream Story. Austrian.
Okay. So do I have 2 picks as well?
No,
it's Daniel. It's Daniel again.
Oh, Daniel. Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Right. This one's... You might have to veto this, but Ikiru is not a direct adaptation, but heavily inspired by a Tolstoy book, The Death of Ivan Ilyich. I've read the...
enough.
I've not read the book, but I've read the summary before, and it's very similar.
To be fair, Eyes Wide Shut is probably more like that, so I'm happy with that.
So I'll go with Ikiru.
Okay. I'll go for a more standard adaptation. I'll go for Lord of the Rings, the only... guess I can't think of other trilogies adaptations that are like kind of perfect.
Nice.
Is there any like come to mind?
It's not a perfect trilogy, it's like a 4-star trilogy.
Well, that is a perfect adaptation because it's all good then, Daniel.
It's not perfect.
And I'll go for Kurosawa's. I'll do a Kurosawa as well. I'll do High and Low, which we talked about in the podcast this year.
Nice.
Can't remember what the book is called, but yeah, obviously also adapted by Spike Lee last year.
I think it is just high. I think the book is High and Low.
Is it High and Low? Maybe.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
Is it my go again then?
It is indeed your go again.
I had it then. I've lost it. Oh yeah. I'm gonna go Jurassic Park because I've actually, not read, listened to the entire thing. And Jurassic Park, the book, is much more horror focused and much more science based. It really delves deep onto how all the Jurassic Park infrastructure works and why it fails. But like, I wouldn't compare the two. They're both very good separately. Jurassic Park's more like a blockbuster, and the book is more based in like what it would be like in reality. It's really like horror focused. But yeah, I mean Jurassic Park. Everyone likes Jurassic Park.
Nice. I can't believe I completely forgot about probably my favorite film ever being adapted by a book, which is Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line. So that's my first of 2 picks. Book of the same name, I'm pretty sure. And my next choice is going to be Blade Runner, which is also adapted from a book. But yeah,
Interesting.
Daniel, your next pick.
Is Blade Runner accurate? Do you know?
Do androids
Yeah,
dream
I'm
of
pretty sure
electric
it
sheep?
is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, is what that's based on. You took that
Mhm.
right from under me. Next. Okay, I'm a bit in the lower stuff for me now. Oh, I'll go One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
There are some
Okay.
big hitters still
Yeah,
out
there
there.
are.
Another Kubrick. Another big Kubrick.
Another big
Yeah, I'm not
Kubrick.
going to take it though.
There's a couple of big Kubrick, like most of Kubrick stuff actually. Ryan, you get 2 picks here.
I'm going to go for this one just because I think it's an interesting adaptation because it is taking from a book that's probably bad and making a great movie out of it, and that is Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street, which he takes as a book that probably gives all of the wrong ideas of what you should do, and it flips it on its head and does it in classic Scorsese style. So I think that's a good example of an adaptation. And another one of making a book probably better because no way that I think is the book probably. I've not read it, but there's no way it's better than this, and that is my Stephen King pick, and that's for Carrie by Brian De Palma.
Interesting.
That's got to be one of the examples of him taking one of Stephen King's books and making it better.
Is this your last? This is your last pick, isn't it, Daniel? Yeah, that was Ryan's last pick as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Roderick Rules. It is legitimately a perfect adaptation.
Oh, you're really taking it?
Yep.
Nice.
I'm surprised nobody went for this, but my last pick is gonna be Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't take that.
Nosferatu and Dracula, there's so many. And Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nosferatu, but Frankenstein.
True. Yeah, I nearly took the original or
James Whale's Frankenstein.
Original
Yeah,
Frankenstein.
yeah. Which is weird because it's like Mary Shelley's book is like almost split into both the movies, so it's not like a perfect adaptation in one movie. So
This is is Bride of Frankenstein? Is that from the original book as well?
yeah,
Cool.
or kind of parts. It's like a sequel to his movie and the rest of the book. Kind of. It's weird.
I don't know why I haven't read the book.
All various examples. I nearly took like Fincher. He's done some good
Zodiac is
Inherent Vice, Starship Troopers, No Country for Old Men, 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
True.
Qui-Gon is
well,
actually
the good one.
Qui-Gon is based on a book.
Train Spotting.
Well done.
Little Women.
Solaris.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, there's so many. A lot of the samurai Kurosawa stuff is apparently.
Well, it's like Macbeth.
Ran.
and stuff
Yeah,
like
Ran
that.
is Macbeth. True. That's true.
Yeah.
12 Years a Slave. Yeah, there's a lot.
There's stuff we're definitely missing, but American Psycho.
Psycho. as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. A lot of great ones. So many good picks here. But yeah, that's our 5. Let us know who's the best draft. And let us know what you thought of Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights. Do you think it's up there as one of the best adaptations or the worst? We definitely think it's one of the worst. But yeah, we'll be back next week for something else.